Andrew's call from Worcester. Hello, Andrew.
Hi, Sheila. Thanks for taking my call. I'm chairman of a group called Tainted Blood, who is a campaign group for the Infected Blood Scandal. And the point that I really wanted to raise was, if we'd had something like a Hillsborough Law 40 years ago when the Infected Blood Scandal came about, we would have had this sorted before so many people had died without seeing any kind of recompense or compensation, which, by the way, we're still waiting for, in contrast to the post office scandal, whose inquiry hasn't finished yet, but some people at least have received some compensation. Yeah. Nobody within the Infected Blood Scandal has received anything as yet. And so that's what I wanted to talk about, really, is the power that we would have had back then.
If you'd had equivalence legally. Exactly,
yes, yeah. We did take the government to court in 1991. It was overturned on a settlement basis because people were dying at a massive rate in 91 and wouldn't have lived to see, the end of the case had it continued. But we were made to sign a waiver at that point to say that we wouldn't prosecute anybody in the government or any NHS services in the future for further viruses that were found. This was before we knew about hepatitis C, which pretty much 100% of the infected blood population with haemophiliacs received, and so they were left without a leg to stand on. And that was all because of inadequate legal representation.
It's terrible, isn't it? It is. It's properly. Awful. I think it. Because we do hear politicians, don't we, saying often how fairness and justice are the underpin Britain and British values, and do you know what? It's just not true.
It isn't true. It isn't. And having fought this battle for so long now, it is very much a David and Goliath kind of thing, except that David hasn't even got a stone to put in his sling.
Yeah, but by the way, it's designed to be.
Yes, it is. It is. And, it took up until 2017 when Theresa May was backed into a corner, was about to lose a vote on the infected blood inquiry calls, that she announced the inquiry. And it has to, every battle that we've won to get some sort of justice towards this has been when the government's back has been against the wall and they've had no alternative. And that's just not right.
No. And remind me fully where this awful scandal is up to, because there was a recent shift, wasn't there?
Yes. Yeah.
Forgive me for not knowing today.
No, of course. No. It's again, it's the biggest story that's never been told, really.
Half told.
Yes, half told indeed. And on that point, wouldn't it be great to have a drama just like the Postmasters managed to get? But it would take series after series after series, and people would get bored halfway through, unfortunately. So at the moment, we're in the closing stages of our public inquiry, which started in 2017. The chair, Brian Langstaff, is due to report in March of this year, which was delayed from autumn of last year, unfortunately. And now the government are holding fast the line that they need to wait for the final report to come out before any compensation payments can be decided upon, despite the fact that the interim report that Sir Brian Langstaff put out in April of last year was his final word on compensation, laid out what a framework would look like, laid out what an arm's length body to administer the compensation payments would look like. It's just been delay after delay, and again another example of trying to battle. We're blowing into the wind, really, unfortunately. We've had some prominent authors write books about it recently. We've had top judges state that this needs to happen as soon as possible. We're still losing people at the rate of one every 4 days, Sheila.
Yeah, and the performance of MPs and parliamentarians in this, how would you rate it in the blood scandal?
At the moment, absolutely fantastic.
That's good.
I think everybody's on board with it at the moment. It seems cross-party support is overwhelming.
But that took a long time, didn't it?
It did a huge amount of time, yeah. I mean, there was nobody really that came on board with the blood scandal, apart from Diana Johnson, perhaps Alistair Burt in the early 2010s, that were actually fighting for us. It's just been us shouting into the wind, which it really isn't right.
How does it leave you feeling about your country?
I've become very disillusioned with the UK. Really, since the Tories have been in power since 2010, but clearly, something has continued for decades in order for our scandal to have proliferated and to continue as long as it has. I just feel that we don't have a caring government. It's a government that seeks to enrich the rich and forget about the poor people. It makes me quite sad, actually, and I don't know what else to say. It's a sad state of affairs, and I really wish it wasn't like it.
I agree with you that it is a sad state of affairs, and would all wish it wasn't like this. Thank you very much indeed, Andrew in Worcester. It's good to hear that now parliamentarians, in the case of the blood scandal, are fully aware, and eventually politicians, Theresa May, for example, Dominic Grieve, Andy Burnham, politicians did eventually, Andy Burnham always actually with Hillsborough, but they did eventually get fully on board. Steve Rotherham was always with the Hillsborough families for pretty obvious reasons. But it really takes a battle to get that attention and to keep that attention as well. I mean, the fact that so many people on the post office scandal are saying, why is it taking an ITV drama? Well, do you think the ITV drama would have ever been written if it hadn't been for the years of perhaps less eye-catching journalism that was going on underneath, behind the scenes of your television, not on an ITV drama? This isn't to denigrate the drama at all. Whatever it takes to get proper action is welcome and is worthy. But it wasn't just the ITV drama. It's 1:30. But more of your calls in a few moments. Is it time to level that playing field between the individual and the state? I say yes. What do you say? 0345 6060 973. It's 1:30.